Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Tom Jensen. Boating season is upon us. We want to talk this week about how you can keep yourself safer on the water. My guest is Brian Schaffer. Brian is the Game and Fish Department's Boat and Water Safety Coordinator. Brian, first off, I want to talk a little bit. In previous years now, we've generally had increases in the number of boats and watercraft that are registered with the state. How are we in this?
We're in the third year of our registration cycle here in 2016 here, so that goes till the end of the year. And those numbers have kind of stabilized here since the last 3-year cycle. And I think that just might be a little bit of the representation of population growth that we've had here in the state. And so things have kind of
population growth for a while.
So things have kind of stabilized, but there's still a lot of boaters out there, fishermen, recreational boaters out on our waters. So,
Brian, let's talk about boat safety basics, just ways that people can keep themselves safe.
Yeah, here in North Dakota we have a lot of our boating opportunities are in early spring and even in early summer. So one of the big things is to be aware that even though the air temperature is warm, that water's still pretty cold. So one of the best things you can do for that is wear a life jacket and follow our safety guides, which you can find online or at any game and fish office. So it's important to have all your safety equipment, including fire extinguishers, whistles, things like that, whatever's required.
There are things that you have to carry on your boat.
Yep, and it all depends on what class your boat would fall within. So different size boats have different requirements, and that information can all be found in our boating guide.
Right. A lot of the safety precautions that people have to take are due to congestion. And the Missouri River, without a doubt, has had a lot of congestion for the last several years. I'm sure this year is going to be no different. What can people do on the Missouri specifically to keep themselves safer?
Yeah, anyone that's been down there, even this spring fishing, there's been a lot of boats. If you drive over the river, there's anglers out there all spring. So now it's getting warmer out. We're going to have more recreationalists out there. So it's important to avoid those really congested areas. That's a big thing, and just slow down. That's it's a big contributor to a lot of boating accidents, is people going too fast in congested areas and just not being aware of their surroundings.
Right. Keep an eye on the sandbars and things like that. Of course, it seems like that's where a lot of the boat traffic congregates, is on the sandbars that are available. Some years there's more sandbars than others, and in years when there aren't very many sandbars, it can get really to be a madhouse.
Yep. And with the Missouri River, the conditions can be changing from day to day, so it's always good to be really aware of your surroundings.
Right. I would assume if you have problems of any kind, there's of course wardens on the water, there's sheriff's departments now and deputies that are patrolling and things like that, both on jet skis and on our warden boats and things. So if you see one, flag them down.
Yep. And then you could always, everyone has cell phones these days, so that's always an extra good thing to have with you.
We mentioned personal watercraft or jet skis a minute ago. Now there are certain things, there are getting to be more and more of them, and there are certain things that are peculiar to the jet skis that they need to do or not do to stay safe. Yeah,
and that is the one type of boat that you're required to wear a life jacket at all times, no matter how old you are. Regardless of age. If you're on a personal watercraft, you need to have a personal flotation device on at all times. So, then another issue that we run into here a lot is personal watercrafts like to jump the wake behind other boats. And it's not only dangerous, it's also illegal within 100 feet of that other boat. So
I would guess in congested areas it would be really bad. Some of the smaller lakes in the state now recently have been getting more and more congested, especially on nice weekends, nice weather and things like that. Let's talk about these small lakes and what people can do there.
Yeah, again, it's, with our bigger bodies of water getting more and more boats on them, there's people that are staying local on some of these smaller lakes, and really knowing, the water depths that can change pretty drastically on some of our smaller lakes. So again, just congested areas, try to avoid them, try and go find your own space. If you're going to be pulling tubers or water skiers or anything like that, get away from those crowds. A lot of people want to water ski and do that in front of crowds. But for safety, it's always best to kind of go find your own area.
I would suppose a lot of these smaller lakes have swimming areas, and those are places that you want to avoid.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good thing to stay away from swimmers, because it doesn't take long for a swimmer that's underwater to pop up in front of your boat. So,
Brian, a lot of the things that you're talking about now to stay safe are just common sense. But there are some things that are law.
Yes.
state
Yep.
laws. They are
Yep.
mandatory that people need to do to stay not only safe but legal.
Yes, and they can all be found in our boater safety guide, which we can either pick up at a district office or go online. You can download one there as well. And all your information on life jacket wear, requirements or how many you have on board, whether you need fire extinguishers, horns, things like that, they can all be found in there in detail.
All right, Brian, thanks. Some very sound advice.
Thank you, Tom.
If you do plan to operate a watercraft in North Dakota, be aware there are a number of new laws for boaters to prevent the spread of aquatic nuisance species. Such things as removing the drain plug from your boat before you leave the ramp area, draining all live wells and bilges, and removing any vegetation from your trailer. For a complete list of the new ANS laws, log on to the Game and Fish website at gf.nd.gov and follow the links, or there are signs posted at nearly every boat ramp in North Dakota to remind you of the new regulations. For Brian Schaffer and the rest of the staff here at North Dakota Game and Fish, thanks for joining us for Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.